What up YouTube? So I'm doing a brow tutorial for you guys today. Kind of in-depth. Let's just get into it. If you're new to makeup and you want to just play around with doing your brows, I would suggest picking up drugstore items. You don't want to spend so much money on high-end brow products and not like them and not use them, because that's a waste of money. I would recommend these products for you if you were to do your brows. So I actually like this. This is by Maybelline. This is the Brow Drama and the shade is in soft brown. I really like the applicator on this. It is like a round ball, but the bristles are really nice. The brow gel that I use by Anastasia, it's a tinted brow gel, and just like this one, they're both tinted. There are clear ones. There's a lot of colors to suit your brow color. But as you can see, this is like a mascara wand, like a spoolie. I really like this one. The ball applicator really separates the hairs of the eyebrows, whereas this one just really doesn't, but it keeps the brow hairs in place. If you have really long brow hairs, you need this. Them little suckers will be like popping out throughout the day and you don't want that. So you'll need a brow gel, brow mascara. This is what you'll need. I recommend a brow pencil with the brush applicator on the end. This is by NYX. This is their eyebrow pencil. I think they came out with a micro eyebrow pencil. I don't even know what the exact name is, but this is one that I found at my local drugstore. You'll want some type of concealer. I prefer compact concealers. They're not liquidy and they're easier to apply to your face with. This is in the shade Light. This is also by NYX. I believe it's pretty new. So you're gonna want those three things. Those are things that I use. Everybody does their brows differently. Some people use, you know, those brow pomades. I have one, but I don't really use it as much. I just like to keep it really simple, really easy, and really fast. But those are drugstore options that I wanted to offer you guys. I'll show you what I use to do my brows. Like I said before, I love the Tinted Brow Gel by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This really keeps my brows in place, and that's mainly what I use it for. It does have a tint, which it does darken your brows. If you have really nice brows and you just really need to keep the hairs in place and maybe fill them in a little bit, I would recommend a tinted brow gel. One of my favorites is the Anastasia Brow Wiz pencil. I normally use dark brown. This is amazing. The tip applicator is more like a pencil type. It's really easy to work with. It also has a brush on the end. And for combing out the hairs, this is the brush I prefer. These pencils are amazing. They are pretty expensive. They cost $18. This NYX brow pencil only costs like $5. If you're playing around with brows, you'd probably want to stay on the drugstore side until you're, you know what you working with. For the concealer, I've always used the Camouflage concealer palette by Coastal Scents, and I've always used this shade. This is a nice shade to put right under the brows. It's 1 or 2 shades lighter than my skin tone, so it highlights my brow as well as clean up underneath it. You want to use a concealer that's 1 or 2 shades lighter than your skin tone. You don't want to be like a brown girl and then have like super white underneath your brows. It just looks kind of weird unless you're doing, you know, some kind of look. But if it's for like an everyday look, you'll want something that corresponds to your skin tone. My daughter's playing. But yeah, so I like to use this one. I've always had it for a long time. It's not expensive. It's only like 12 or 14 bucks, but you only can get it online. You will have to wait a little bit for it. With that, I like to use a concealer brush. This is by e.l.f, which you can get at any drugstore, and it's only $1, so girl, get it. But I like to use this to clean up under the brows. It's small, it's easy to work with, and I like it. Those are the products that I use, and now let's get into the tutorial. Let's go. I gotta feed my daughter first. before I start applying product to my brows, I like to comb through them. So I like to use a spoolie, whatever it's called. I just like to comb up. I usually work on this brow first because there's a lot more hair in it and it has more shape, more closer to what I want. If I work on this brow first, it can get out of hand and it'll just be like crazy. I use the Tinted brow gel and comb through it some more, but we're going to be adding product and this will help the hairs to stay in place. Just open it and then I just wipe off any excess. If you don't wipe it off, you'll get a lot of product. So I'm just going to brush through. And as you can see, my brows are already getting darker because of the product. And if you get product underneath the brows, that's okay. The concealer will clean it up. We just really want to get the hairs up there and in place. So next I'm going to be applying concealer, the Camouflage, Coastal Scents Camouflage Concealer Palette. I'm going to be using that middle shade with the concealer brush by e.l.f. right there. I like to apply the concealer before the brows because it just gives me more of an ideal shape to work with. I kind of wait for the brow gel to dry, so that's why. And when I apply the concealer, I don't apply it right underneath the brows. So as you can see in my brows, there's like a dip right here, and then my brows will go up like that. So it's not straight across, which is what I want. So I actually apply the concealer in a straight across motion, which is more of the shape that I want. And then after, I just blend it down. Just blending the concealer out. And then I use my finger to really blend it out. As you can see, it looks a lot more cleaner. It actually lifts up the brows and it looks good. The eyebrow pencil that I'm going to be using is by Sumita. This is their Imlee brow pencil. If you're from California, more so Southern California, I don't know if it's in Northern California, but they do have an eyebrow shop called Zeba's and they do brow threading, but I know this is their brand sort of thing, so that's where I know you could get it. I don't know if it has an online or anything like that, but if you want to get it, that's where. Now I'm just going to fill in my brows. I like to fill in underneath first before I do the top, so I fill in the top. I don't go all the way into the center and then work out. I just like to go from the middle and work my way out. It's because in the center I like to keep it pretty bare, not too much product in there, so that is why. And then for the arch to the tail, it's pretty sparse for me, so I really like to just fill that in. Like so. And then I start slowly working into the front of the brow. I go about that far and then I brush through and bring more product to the front. I really overdrew my lips today, but who cares? So now I'm going to take the spoolie and blend out the product. So I just like to start brushing towards the front. Like so. And then start blending it out. So once you blend out, you'll lose product. So it's more of just going back and forth. after I apply brow product, I probably won't blend out as much because it's pretty blended. And if it looks a little messy to you, don't worry. We're going to clean them up. If your brow doesn't really have a shape, a good way to know how your brows should be is, so from your nose, you can take like a pretty straight, you can take like a makeup brush, and the tip should end right about there, and then the arch should be right about there, and then the inner part should come in right about there. And that's how you know your brow shape is good for your face. I'm gonna go in with the concealer and clean it up. Clean it, so I just need it right there. And right there. Just blend it down. And then blend it up. And then I'm going to conceal the upper part of my brow. I am using a shade more closer to my skin tone to do this. I'm just going to really focus it on the outer. And then I'm going to touch up the brows one more time, and then we should be done. And there we go. It's all personal preference how you want your brows to look, but if you want it to be more natural, it's okay if not everything is crisp and clean up close, but far away it's all put together. Like realistically in life, your brows aren't perfect, so you don't really have to worry about them being so perfect. You generally want it to look decent, so to say. So my brows are actually a lot darker than I normally would do them, but because I'm wearing a pretty heavy eye makeup, I want it to balance out, so that's why I went a little bit darker. And now I'm going to do the other eye, and I will show you guys that too, just to recap. I'm going to go in with the brow gel, and I'm going to comb through, wiping off any excess on it. And it really gets goopy at the tip, so you really want to get that. But wiping it off makes it easier to work with, so that there's not too much product. So now I'm going to be applying. As you can see, the product is getting in there. This brow is a problem for me because it doesn't have too much hair going on, so I really have to take my time with it and really make sure it's the sister to the other brow. You don't want your brows to be identical twins. You want them to be sisters. But any type of grooming, you want to do that before you even start putting makeup on your face. So next, I'm going to go in with the brow pencil, and I'm going to start filling in my brows. I really just look back and forth between the first brow I did and this brow, just to make sure they're pretty even, or as even as I can get them. Okay, next I'm going to go through with the brush and blend out the product. So, sisters, right? Not identical twins. So after I get my desired brow look, I like to highlight the brows. So I will take this shade in the Naked Basics palette. It has a yellow undertone. It is called Foxy. I have a yellow undertone in my skin tone, so I like to use yellow shades like this if I just really set the concealer as well as blend out the eyeshadows so that they blend into each other. But this also calms down the lightness of the concealer and really brings everything together. If you have a pink undertone, you'll probably want to use a shade very similar to WOS, which I think is Wall of Shame. That is my brow, how I do my brows. I hope it was helpful for you guys. I hope I made sense. But yeah, that's what I use. That's what I do. If you have any questions, just leave them down below in the comments and I will answer them for you. Please subscribe so you can be notified to see any more videos in the near future. You can follow me on my social media. I am on Instagram and Snapchat at Decay, the same way that it's spelled here. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful year, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!